come from?
David is mad.
I
I didn't realise how massive a song it was. When I thought David had just found it. I thought, yeah, I kind of love that song.
Not as much as you love her.
I just wanted there to be a moment in the movie that was particularly that, at that particular juncture in the film, for there to be a moment that reminded the audience that Rob's character was just a kid who in different circumstances would probably just be listening to music and thinking about girls and you know, playing with his hair in the mirror.
I still just like for a performance as well, having, you know, that moment in another movie would be like, oh, I'm really thinking deeply about my next move, and it's really kind of, it sort of looks like that from a distance, and like, it's like, nope, just sing it along. Carry on.
About to kill someone, singing a song.
The scene felt sad too, though. Like when it has a very sad feeling to it because of the build-up in the whole film and where we know where you guys are going next. And I just wanted to add that it was funny in press. They made it seem like a lot of people made it seem like it was funny. I didn't laugh. I was just like, this is sad.
That's exactly right. And that's what I mean. I wanted at that point, that particular juncture in the movie, for there to be a reminder that Rob is just a kid, for that moment to sit and stew, and then for him to get out of that car and step over to Guy at the campfire and say something really kind of sad and tragic.
And also, like, that scene, he's kind of excited about telling his poem as well. And also,
well, it's interesting that decision, whether that decision was made during the song, but that you know, the stating of that decision comes out of having just sung that song. Or having just been a kid, as you say.
Yeah. So it's a little bit funny.
This film certainly fits within the group of artistically adventurous films you've made outside of the Twilight franchise. And I'm curious, is this the realm that you hope to kind of work in going forward? Do you want to keep switching it up? And what do you hope the fans who follow you from Twilight into films like this, what are you hoping that they are getting out of that experience?
I mean, I don't really have any particular kind of preconceived plan. I mean, even each of the Twilight movies, I kind of approach them all as individual movies. I never really saw it as like, oh, going back to work or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I hope, you know, you can't really predict what an audience is going to like or want, or even if they're going to follow you to do anything. But I don't know. I think if you try and make challenging stuff, but when you know you put your heart into it, then hopefully someone, well, at least one other person's going to like it.
I will.
We're from the Rover fans blog and from Rob Sess, and we loved the movie, David. I just wanted to say that we thought it was fantastic. And our first question is for Guy and for Rob. The movie, there's a lot of silent moments, but they're pretty impactful with the tone and the emotion of the movie. So I wanted to know what you guys are thinking when you were playing so many silent moments, not a lot of dialogue, but when you were being sutured up and staring at Eric sleeping and Guy, all the scenes that just in your eyes and what you're expressing. I didn't know if you had any backstory as actors to those silent moments, since they had such a heavy impact to me.
Well, I think if there's any backstory, that's not necessarily what you're thinking about. I mean, that's just stuff that you know that works for your character, that gets you in a place of confidence to be able to go and play the character. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess, you know, it's interesting as an actor because you're half thinking about what your character should be thinking about, and you're half thinking about the technical stuff, I suppose. You know, I do sometimes about camera and position and, you know, which way is going to sort of evoke more of the appropriate emotion, if your head's more down or across, or, you know, technical stuff as well. I mean, I like not to think about that stuff too much, but sometimes you can't help it, you know. And whether or not you're thinking about that or whether you're just kind of conscious of that on some sort of level. And it changes all the time, but I think really, particularly with a movie like this that is so subtle but heavily laden with deeply rooted emotional stuff, you're just trying to be in that stuff, you know, you're just trying to sit in that emotional place, because that's what's going to translate the most honestly, I suppose.
The first moment looking at you when you're asleep in a chair, I suddenly remember that because I kept trying to play, kind of being stuck between two channels all the time. It's sort of a nothing. But I remember that because I was supposed to be waking up and then looking at him. I remember talking to you about it, saying, like, no, he has to start just in the middle of the room,
Already awake.
Yeah, and just kind of, it's just you're starting in the middle, and you never really, it doesn't get past the middle. I think that's what a lot of, in all those moments, it's just trying to not think about anything at all. But like,
I like that stuff between two channels.
And two more questions.
This is for David. Was there any specific scene that was particularly challenging for you, and that you knew that if you didn't make it right, you wouldn't have the movie you wanted?
I mean, I find all scenes challenging on that level. You know, every one of them seems important to me. I don't, you know, maybe if there's a big stunt or something that is complicated and expensive to execute, then yeah, I feel the pressure of you know, I
Getting it right.
yeah, I feel the pressure of getting it right and fear the consequences of not. But beyond that, every scene is really important to me. I don't go into any scene feeling like this is the big one and I have to nail it. I go into every scene feeling both, with adrenaline coursing through me, fearful of getting it wrong, and also really excited about what will happen when we start rolling the camera. Because when you set up a scene, it's really interesting. I don't know if this is the experience you guys have, but for me it's the same every time. You walk onto a new set, you block through the scene. The first block through is always terrible. Everything just feels so wooden and slow and clumsy, and then I know that I have about half an hour with my actors to get it into the shape that it needs to be for and that it will be in for the rest of its life. And that process is exhilarating because it always happens. You always get it to the good place. But there is always a moment after that first block through where I find myself sitting there going, okay, what am I going to do now? How am I going to fix this? And but it always happens. There's something about it. There's something about that adrenaline, that electricity on set that makes it come alive really quickly.
Question for Rob here. I don't know if it's working. It's the second post-apocalyptic movie or maybe futuristic movie in your career after Cosmopolis. Why are you drawn to such projects, and what is your view of the future? Is it more pessimistic or optimistic?
I mean, I don't really see either of them as post-apocalyptic. I mean, I mean, I thought weirdly see both of them as quite hopeful as well. I mean, I think Cosmopolis was about a guy who didn't know how to live and has 1 second of feeling what it's like to be alive before he dies, which is, it's kind of a good thing. It's more than most people, I think. And the Rover, I think, was always really hopeful. I mean, it was always alright. I think it's really fun. I think it's really funny how kind of, he's. I mean, it's. I think the end is sad. You kind of try to. I always just talk about it in terms of my character's story. I can't see it as in any kind of wider scope than that at all.
It's sad, but there is hope in sadness often.
Yeah, and I think the hope you've made an impact on Eric as well. Like, and it's kind of.
It's a recognition of things that are important.
Yeah.
When those things, that recognition happens too late, that in itself is innately sad, but it's not hopeless.
And as for the world, I have a very optimistic view of the world, mainly because I like my life.
thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.